Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope everyone had a great week. I had a busy 2 weeks in Chutz La'aretz. The past 2 weeks, recruiting, alumni Shabbaton, very busy. Baruch Hashem, things went well. I got back last Erev Shabbos, quiet Shabbos, and then back to Yeshiva. A very strong week in Yeshiva as we round out Chodesh Shvat. We move into Mishanichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. We have a very special night tonight in Yeshiva. We're having the Markowitz family, Azriel Markowitz's father, David, who was also an alumnus of our Yeshiva. So David's father, Azriel's grandfather, is writing a Sefer Torah, and in our base marriage tonight, every single boy will have the schus and the opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of Ksivas Sefer Torah, the 613th mitzvah. They'll be singing, lebedik, a nice mishmar, music, food, all of that. And that's one of the special highlights that we have. And of course, Purim around the corner, a lot, Baruch Hashem, going on. The base medrash is ending very strong. We're also in the middle of our perfection incentive program, so things, Baruch Hashem, are very good. So this week is Parshat Mishpatim, and it is well known that many discuss that direct transition from Yisro, Aseres HaDibros, right into the nitty-gritty of Ve'ela HaMishpatim, right away from the inspiration of Matan Torah to the nitty-gritty details of Choshen Mishpat. Very striking. And of course, there's a very profound lesson, and that is, the Torah does get down and dirty with us in the world of Choshen Mishpat, in the day-to-day world, very critical, just like we have to be meticulous about the mitzvos ben Adam lamakom, just as meticulous about the mitzvos ben Adam lechavero. Let me tell you a story. As some of you know, we have this WhatsApp group with practical shilas that the boys present to me, and I try and answer. And I got a question a couple of months ago. The question came from one of the boys. He says he was taking an LIRR train ride, and the way it works, you pay for the ticket, you have your ticket on the train, and then in the course of the ride, in the course of the travel, a conductor, some LIRR person comes around, and he looks at your ticket, he gives it a punches it, and you now cannot use that ticket again. Of course, as luck would have it, this young man did not have his ticket punched. The person never came around, so he had an unpunched ticket. He asked me, are you allowed to use it again? I started thinking, svaras back and forth. Here we have a potential gezel issue, no chil Hashem involved, a big company, maybe Gentiles, back and forth. I decided I'm going to ask the question of Rav Asher Weiss. I was with Rav Asher Weiss in the car. I asked him the question. His immediate reaction, he laughed. He goes, of course it's usher. Nothing to talk about. We have to be sensitive, very sensitive, just as much on mitzvahs bein Adam lamakom, to the common types of everyday challenges of Gezel that come up. And what better parsha to look at than Parshat Mishpatim for some of these details. This year in Yeshiva we're learning Bava Kama. The first time, I've been teaching here for 22 years, the first time that I can remember teaching Bava Kama. It's a tremendous limud. And I want to share with you my introductory shir. Don't take long, don't worry. A little bit technical, but we'll try and do it in about 5 minutes. The introductory shir to Bava Kama, which comes directly from this week's parsha. If you take a look at the psukim, it might be helpful just to peruse with me the psukim in Perek Chaf Aleph in Parshat Shmos, in Sefer Shmos, Parshat Mishpatim. The Torah identifies what I will call the damages, nizkei Adam, performed by people. And then the Torah shifts towards the end of Perek Chaf Aleph, Pasuk Chaf Ches, into what we call nizkei behemo, or nizkei mammon rather. Damages done not by me personally, but by my property. And you take a look at the order. Again, just take a look at it. I'm going to give you an overview, a quick summary. But the order of the psukim seems very striking. We have a list of a series of nizkei mammon, damages done not by me, but rather by my property. We start off with a shore that damages a person. Shore. We move on to a boar. An animal, a shore, falls into a boar. So we started with shore, and then we went to boar. Okay? Next, number 3. We're going to go have a total of 6. Next, number 3, a shore damages, gores another shore. Okay, so that's weird. We started with shore, then we went to boar, then we went back to shore. Unusual. Then the fourth example, the fourth case is gneva of a person who steals a shore oseh. Has to pay 4 times the amount, 5 times the amount. Wait, that doesn't belong here at all. We are discussing nizkei mamon, damages done by property. Now you're telling me about damage, theft, done by a person? That does not belong here. Why is that here? That belongs in the section of the perek dealing with nizkei adam, where a person does damage. Then we go back to shore. A case of a shore, what we call in Bava Kama language, shein v'regel, where a shore eats the sada of another person or tramples on the sada of another person. Back to shore. Strange. And then finally the parsha concludes, actually, doesn't just conclude, then we have Eish. And the case of Eish is where the fire, I ignite a fire, it travels into my neighbor's field, damages his field. Eish. And then the Torah tells us about the parsha of Arba Shomrim. Arba Shomrim. Which again, what to hearken us back to the case of Adam. A lot of strange things in this parsha. The order doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You look at Ibn Ezra, and Ibn Ezra is bothered. He says, very hard to rationalize this Seder HaParshas. The Ramban, Perchav Aleph Pasuk Beis, also has a very tough time. Says, I'll do the best I can, but hard to figure out what exactly is the order. Once again, let's just review. We start off with a shore that does damage, gores a person. Then we go to bore. An animal falls into a bore. Then back to shore damages an animal. Then we have gneva, a person steals a shore. Very unusual. Then a shore, back to shore. A shore goes ahead and damages, tramples, shein v'regel, eats, tramples on a sadeh. And then a fire consumes. And then back to Arba Shomrim. Why in the world is Ganav stuck in the middle? Why don't we deal with all of shore together? Why shore, bore, shore, Ganav, back to shore? What exactly is this all about? And if I'm putting Aish somewhere, I would put Aish and bore together, because these are both inanimate objects that I'm responsible to watch over, and I fail in my duty to watch over. I'm delinquent in my obligation. And then Shomrim, that should have been probably with Geneva or with Adam Hamazik. What exactly is going on? So Rav Elchanan Samet has a sefer called Iyunim B'Parsha, and he develops an idea that when you hear it, you're going to say, aha, that rings so true. That's the pshat. You see, our perspective, especially when we learn Bava Kama, when we learn the Mishnayos, the Gemaras, Arba, Avos, Nezikin, we're always focused, we're fixated. Is it this Av Nezek? Is it that Av? Is it Shor? Is it Keren? Is it Shein? Is it Aish? Is it Bor? We're always focused on the Nezek, on the Mazik. But you know what the Torah is teaching us over here? There is an order. But our focus is not on the Mazik, the damager. Our focus is on that which is being damaged. The Torah is trying to orient us. Focus on the victim. Focus on who you have to protect. Focus on what is being damaged. That's what the Torah is trying to orient us to. And then you look at this parsha, and it is striking how perfectly organized it is. It's really beautiful. We open up with Shor Sha'azik Adam. The case of a shor kills a person. Shor Niskal damages a person. The most important thing we have to protect, object we have to protect, is human life. That's the most valuable thing. That begins this parsha. This parsha is not about shor, it's about the victim. First we protect a person's personage, himself. What's next most valuable? Certainly in the times of Chazal, his animals. His animals were the most important asset that he had in terms of plowing the field, producing food, etc. It was the animal that had to be protected next. So then the next two mazikim, bor, but it's not about the bor, it's about the animal, the shor v'seh, that falls in, the shor v'chamor, that falls into the bor. That's next. We look at the victim. Next is shor, that is nogeach, that gores another shor. We're in the world of shor, but not focused on the mazik, but on the nizak, on the victim. And then geneva. Geneva, we said, should have been elsewhere. No, geneva here is of a shor oseh. The focus is on the davar hanizak. Then we close out the parsha with a shor that eats, shein, or tramples, regel. What is a trample? Sada. That's the next most valuable asset. We start with a person, then his livestock, his animals, then his intangible property, the sada, his real estate, his karka, and that's shem v'regel, and that's also eish. Eish that consumes, what does it consume? It consumes a sada, a field. And that closes one aspect. No, we have one other parsha. The next parsha is Arba Shomrim. And what's Arba Shomrim all about? Why is that not by Adam, Hamazik? The answer is because what do you give to a shomer? You give your lowest level asset. Your lowest level asset is your metaltalin, is your movable objects. So the parsha of Nezikin closes with Arba Shom, which is about metaltalin. You see, Rabbi Samet points out, look at that which is being damaged. Look at that which we have to protect. Look at the victim. When you look at the victim, so again, our most important object is ourselves, then our animals, then our sados, our real estate, our karka, and then our metaltalin. What a phenomenal insight. What a beautiful insight. You look at this parsha, and it's dry, it's technical, it's very difficult, it's very legalistic. But the Torah is sending us such a profound message. In a lot of yeshivas, the opening shir in Bava Kama is there an isser to be a mazik? I know I have to pay if I damage you, but is there an isser to be a mazik? Is there an isser to damage you at all? And the answer to that question is very difficult because you don't have any pasuk that says explicitly there's an isser to be mazik. But perhaps the reason there's no single pasuk is the whole parsha teaches us that idea. Protect the victim. See to it that it doesn't happen. Protect every aspect of the victim in descending order of importance. But be there for the victim. That's the message of Parshat Mishpatim. Don't get to the point where, yes, now the question is, which Av is it and how much do I have to pay? Nezek Shalom Chatzi Nezek. But get to the point of Shmira, being careful with yourself, with your property, so as not to hurt other people. Beautiful, beautiful message. And as we go through these parshios, from the climax of Kabbalah Satorah into the nitty-gritty of Parshat Mishpatim, is to always remember the importance, how careful we have to be when it comes to mitzvos, not just ben adam lamakom, but also ben adam lechavero, to make sure that we are nikim lifnei Hashem v'im adam.